Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be tackling a common problem that can leave you stranded on the side of the road. A bad starter relay. Now I know what you're thinking. Replacing a starter relay? That sounds complicated. But trust me, it's actually a pretty straightforward process that anyone can do with the right tools and instructions. In this video, I'm going to walk you through everything you need to know about replacing a starter relay. From identifying the problem to installing the new part. I'll show you exactly where the starter relay is located, how to remove the old one, and how to install the new one. I'll also give you some tips on troubleshooting common problems, so you can be sure you're doing the job right. So if you're ready to learn how to replace a starter relay and get your car back on the road, then let's get started. The starter relay, also known as the starter solenoid, plays a crucial role in starting your vehicle. It acts as a switch, allowing a small electrical current to control a much larger current that flows to the starter motor, ultimately cranking the engine to life. The starter relay is typically located near the battery or mounted on the inner fender panel. It's usually a cylindrical or rectangular device with 2 or 3 terminals. You can easily identify it by following the thick positive battery cable. Once you've located the starter relay, it's time to check its condition. Here are a few ways to do it. Visual inspection. Look for any signs of damage or corrosion on the relay's terminals or housing. If you see any cracks, burns, or loose connections, the relay might be faulty and require replacement. Clicking sound. When you turn the ignition key to the start position, you should hear a clicking sound coming from the starter relay. This indicates that the relay is engaging and sending power to the starter motor. If you don't hear a click, the relay might be malfunctioning. Jump start test. If your car won't start, you can try jump-starting it. If the engine cranks but doesn't start, even with a jump start, the problem could be with the starter relay or the starter motor itself. Before diving deeper into the starter relay, it's essential to ensure your battery is in good condition. A weak or dead battery can prevent the starter relay from functioning properly. Use a multimeter to check the battery voltage. A fully charged battery should read around 12.6 volts. If the voltage is significantly lower, you might need to charge or replace the battery. If the battery is in good condition, the next step is to test the starter relay circuit. This involves checking the wiring and connections between the battery, ignition switch, starter relay, and starter motor. Look for any loose or corroded connections, damaged wires, or blown fuses. Testing the circuit. Disconnect the positive battery terminal. Use a multimeter to check for continuity between the positive battery terminal and the large terminal on the starter relay. You should get a reading of 0 ohms if the circuit is complete. Check for continuity between the small terminal on the starter relay and the ignition switch. Again, you should get a reading of 0 ohms. Finally, check for continuity between the starter relay's output terminal and the starter motor. If you don't get the expected readings in any of these tests, there's a problem with the wiring or connections in the starter relay circuit. You'll need to identify and repair the faulty component before the starter relay can function properly. Note: always disconnect the battery before working on the starter relay circuit to avoid electrical shock. 1. Locate the starter relay. The starter relay is usually located near the battery or the starter motor. It is a small black box with 2 or 3 wires connected to it. 2. Disconnect the battery. This is important to prevent electrical shock. 3. Remove the starter relay. Use a wrench to loosen the bolts that hold the starter relay in place. Then pull the starter relay out of its socket. 4. Install the new starter relay. Insert the new starter relay into the socket and tighten the bolts. 5. Reconnect the battery. 6. Start the engine. The engine should now start normally. 1. Locate the starter relay. The starter relay is usually located inside the starter motor. 2. Remove the starter motor. You will need to remove the bolts that hold the starter motor in place. Then, pull the starter motor out of the engine. 3. Remove the starter relay. The starter relay is usually held in place by a clip or a bolt. Remove the clip or bolt, and then pull the starter relay out of the starter motor. 4. Install the new starter relay. Insert the new starter relay into the starter motor and secure it with the clip or bolt. 5. Reinstall the starter motor. Put the starter motor back into the engine and tighten the bolts. 6. Reconnect the battery. 7. Start the engine. The engine should now start normally. Once you have replaced the starter relay, it is important to test drive the vehicle to make sure that the problem has been fixed. Start the engine and drive the vehicle for a short distance. If the engine starts and runs normally, then the problem has been fixed. If the engine does not start or if it stalls, then there may be another problem with the vehicle.